Okay, Chris Speaks back here today with Brandon Mosley for our BCS State of Alabama podcast, and we got second congressional candidate here with us, Chris Horn. Chris, was texting earlier. You said you was gonna take the gloves off with the good old boy system. What did you mean by that?
Well, I mean, it's very frustrating when you start. Look, first of all, thank you for having me on, Christian Horn. I'm celebrating America 250. I think it's an awesome, awesome celebration that's coming up. I think we can all take advantage of the fact that we weren't here 250 years ago, but we're here right now. I think we should take it wholeheartedly to celebrate. I do think there's a lot of things going on when it comes down to Supreme Court that's happening in real time. I'm looking at the TV right now, and the birthright citizenship piece that they just had was a pretty big deal. We had the transgender ruling today in sports. But when it comes down to the local, there's some things that I think that we can all agree about. This was probably the most, and we talked the last time we talked about how these elections are being run. And a case just came down today, about 2 hours ago, that will allow the parties to receive money. It's kind of a consolidation of Citizens United. You could not coordinate as a candidate with the party. Supreme Court just ruled that they now have changed that law, that the Republican Party and Democrat Party will be able to coordinate and buy advertising, buy commercials, buy consultants, buy paid advertising, any way you want to do it. So it's a new day.
Does that
Those people
ruling
who are in the
also
business,
apply to coordinating between the candidates committee and the super PAC?
no, that still is a bar.
Oh, okay.
That still is a bar. Super PACs will not be able to um, coordinate with the candidates. Who can coordinate with the candidates? Let me make sure I get my camera right. Who can coordinate are people who are running campaigns, and in those campaigns with the parties, you'll be just fine. So it's an alter ego of the super PAC, where now instead of having to give your money to the super PAC, you can literally
You can
give your
donate straight to the
money
state party.
to the state party. Exactly. So that's a big deal, guys, because now those who are going into the general election, more likely than not, the general election, they don't have to worry about money,
Yeah.
and it won't. You'll still get the the PAC money, but the PAC money comes in when you see those commercial ads. So people are listening to PAC is a political action committee, and they have independent committees that will be able to by advertising commercials. So a lot of those commercials are PAC commercials. And those commercials are the ones that more often than not are really nasty. And this year was the worst. Chris, it was the worst. I mean, every year we look at these commercials, but they actually had impact this year. And they had impact on these elections only because 22% came out to vote.
Yeah, that's
22%.
pathetic.
Last time I was on, I predicted that if it's a low voter turnout, you'll have the party insiders will be selecting who's going to be your winner. And that's exactly what happened. It got worse in the runoff, where only 10% of the people came out to vote.
Yeah, it was 10.3% statewide. And if you took the 90,000 Democrats out of there, it's like 7.5% basically decided all these statewide offices.
And Brand,
Well, probably like 4%. I mean, when you look at 4%
And
of
there
people
weren't that
voting.
many Democrats.
Yeah,
yeah, if you look at just if you take the party brand out of it, you're 100% right. They're saying 10 point statewide, but when I looked at the numbers, I discovered what you discovered. Let me make it real. So in Montgomery County, in the primary, 33,000 Democrats showed up to vote. 12,000 Republicans showed up in one of the largest counties in the state of Alabama.
Yeah, Jefferson is the largest county in the state of Alabama. And in that primary runoff, I mean, I think Jarrett, there was like 20,000 something Republicans and about slightly more Democrats. But it was a tiny turnout. But the Democrat turnout was so low that
Yeah,
Jefferson County was more than 25% of the total Democrat vote cast.
Wow.
statewide.
I mean, if you won Montgomery and Jefferson County on the Democrat primary, as low as the turnout was in the other 65 counties on the Dem side, I mean, there's only like 1,200 showed up in Baldwin County, and that's a massive county. You basically won the election. I mean, if you are popular in Jefferson or you're popular in Montgomery in that Democrat primary runoff, that was your election.
And frankly, Chris and Brand, this is a place we've never been. When the 10% showed up for the runoff, you're talking, like you said, people don't. And I posted something on Facebook. I kind of went on this scared, and this Chris hops on. He tells the absolute truth. And I want to know, why do people not voting? Just tell me, why are you not voting? And as Chris rightfully said, this is not new. It's been a downward slide for what, a decade?
Well, I was looking at some numbers and going back to 1994 in the Republican and Democratic primaries combined, there was about 1 million people who voted. Since that time, it's been slowly dropping every 4 years in the statewide race. I've not checked the presidential yet.
Well, in the last 3 cycles, and I blame it on Trump. Trump the good, meaning people are comfortable, people are glad he's back, people in that side of just, we're comfortable. We don't need to vote. And I think they're checking out forever. I don't
I think
think
they'll
if
still
Trump is
show up
not
for
on the
the general
ballot.
election.
I'm sorry.
I mean, we'll see, but I believe they'll still show up for for the general election. I don't think we're going to have 22% turnout
Oh no, because it's a
in
general
the
election, but his
general.
name's
I
not going to
think
be
there's a
on that ballot.
lot of Republicans and a lot of Democrats that are perfectly fine with letting other people pick their party's nominee, and then they will come out and support the ticket in the fall.
It's becoming a thing that they call a celeb in the Republican Party. I frankly am starting to get to, if we're not getting 25% turnout as a party, we should do like Michigan, go to a convention.
I mean,
Yeah.
um,
I mean, at this phase of the game, if we are doing exactly what you said, Brand, whether you're Democrat, Republican, we might as well go to a convention. So people are listening, and there are some states, and Michigan is one, where they send delegates to a convention. And from the delegates across the state by county, they choose who their nominee will be. And
America is
they
about
vote
to.
on the delegates, and then they do it there. So now that was their way of doing it because of low voter turnout.
I
And
I mean,
mean,
I
it's
don't
almost
think
like a
people,
caucus.
what's that?
It's almost like it turned into a caucus now that the
well,
turnout's so
the
low.
difference between a convention and a caucus is the caucus. You would have conventions in all 67 counties.
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's a
That I
caucus.
misspoke.
All the
That's correct.
Republicans
That's
get in a
correct.
room,
We're
and
talking
those
about
of
the
us in
same
the
thing.
room pick it. In a convention, delegates from each county go to the state convention. They all get in the room and they pick it. If you look at the history, America's about to turn 250. The convention or the caucus, mostly the convention, is how we did it for like the first 120 years.
Correct.
They didn't do this popular party primaries thing. That's a progressive reform that we did, after about 1900 when the populists, were, you know, um, in their heyday in both parties. So states started adopt. But if you look worldwide, America is the only country that democratically elects their candidates, that lets the general public vote on who the parties um, represent. It's like Likud or Labor in Israel. There's not a primary in Tel Aviv where they decide whether they want Benji Netanyahu or another Likud guy. They have the party leaders or the party national convention decides who's going to be the candidates all up and down the slate. That's most countries.
Yeah, we're sliding into that. What do you think, Chris?
Well, regarding your post, like, and I'll give you a prime example. My best friend from high school, he keeps up with politics every day. He reads politics. He knows all the politicians. He knows the commercials. He works from home. He lives 2 miles from his voting precinct. He didn't vote in the primary or the runoff. And this is an informed person. And if you can't get somebody like him to the polls, how are you going to get anybody out there?
Is he a guy who's going to come in November? Is he coming back to the poll in November?
I don't know. I have not. I'll have to ask him about that. But to me, we're making our decisions for our leaders in the primaries. If we don't make a decision there,
in Alabama,
yeah, right.
I think we're reaching a point of danger when we start delegating 5 to 10%. And these are the people who go to the Republican meetings or they go to the Democrat meetings.
Yeah.
These are the party insiders. This and where we go out, whether we see those are the people who are actually choosing with this low voter turnout. You have and I heard this from top of the brass. We shouldn't have any elections. I was shocked to hear it, and I heard it from some very, very key figure people. And frankly, they said we shouldn't even have primaries anymore because those are if that's the case, the low information voters not coming to the poll. They just want the people who go to Saturday morning breakfast meetings to be the people who choose who they want.
But wouldn't that actually be a better system?
Because again,
those people that go to the St. Clair County Republican Party meeting, they met Steve Marshall. They've met Jared Hudson. They've met Barry Moore. They've met them. If they're regular party attendee guys, they've met them several times.
Yeah, you're right.
They know. There's no hiding the candidate from those people by running a media blitz where the candidate says 5 really cool commercials and they're funny, and then you have billboards and all this kind of crap trying to motivate the person who's going to vote and has no idea who these people
are. I do think though that you just answered the question. I think that the people who are keeping this alive, radio, television, those people who have big websites, they're making money. And so they don't want to let go of that cash cow of conflict, is what I call it. Because once you go to the system that is most efficient and does exactly what you say it does, reward the people who show up at St. Clair County or Houston County, where I was last night, then they don't get to make money and people screaming and hating each other on TV. That's the thing. I think but culturally it's not doing us any good anymore because now
I know as the content manager and lead editor at the Alabama Gazette, I had a bunch of advertising clients for the primary.
Right.
At the moment, I don't have a single candidate who is buying an ad already for the general election.
See, with these voters, such low, turnout, I don't think advertisement matters anymore.
No.
Wes Allen's campaign threw everything they had against John Wall, and it did not affect them in the least bit.
I did get John Wall advertising. I did not get Wes Allen advertising.
Yeah,
So I
and
guess
there's
people need
something to say
to
about
make
that.
a conclusion from that.
Well, looking on the other side of it, I mean, right now, running for Congress and understanding, especially where you are in the state, congressional district 2, like congressional district 7, it's in the black belt. When it comes down to the market, it's Montgomery market, right? Um, I realize deeply that it's still 6 o'clock news that drives the narrative. A lot of people don't watch 6 o'clock news anymore, but it's still important. I do think that the candidates that can have maximum impact are those that have a consistent message and telling their story as opposed to attacking.
Yeah, I agree with that because Wes Allen had no message. It was just attack, 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 and I think it just made John Wall into a more sympathetic, likable figure by the day.
But again, the low turnout
There you go.
helped Wall,
Yeah,
and
because
it
he knows all the party
helped.
people.
I mean, who it got elected was Jim Ziegler because Ziegler had no money whatsoever, essentially, and he was getting pummeled on
Yeah,
TV over and over and over and over again.
Well,
But
and he had
those
no money. He had
because he
no
had no money
money.
to be on TV himself.
I
Those
keep.
go to meeting Republicans who have met. I mean, if you've been to like St. Clair County Republican Party meetings, the state meetings, or the Houston County meetings, you probably met Jim Ziegler 40 times over the last 20
yeah.
years.
I told somebody, maybe in you, that if Beaker had have went to some of these meetings,
Oh, he'd
that
have
might have been
won.
enough to
I
give him a
mean,
run.
I've never meet. I loved Chris Beaker the second. Now, Chris Beaker the third, who was running in his daddy's spot, I've still never met Chris Beaker the third. I don't know if he's a good guy or not. He just never shows up. And I think that probably cost him because in low turnout, that hypercharged voter who reads the Alabama Gazette or Alabama Political Reporter or
Yep.
1819 News every morning and just, has met all the candidates and, knows that, has heard John Wall speak when he was chairman of the Republican Party, those kind of voters played an oversized role in picking the
Hmm.
candidates this time.
Well, it goes back to your point about low voter turnout. I mean, that's the reason why I keep hammering that thing on the head, because the lower the turnout, the more amplified an outsized figure like Ziegler gets, because he doesn't need advertising at that point.
Yeah,
He's
that's what I'm saying.
vying
The
to be,
money becomes less important the
and I'm bought
lower
into
the
that.
turnout goes.
This is
Yeah.
the reason why the Supreme Court ruling that says that the parties now can collaborate and collude with their candidates in the general is taking money out of it. And that's what this was advanced by JD Vance. This was his baby. He's a guy who comes from humble beginnings. He just doesn't like the process of the fundraising and the parties not being able to collude with each other when you have the red team versus the blue team. I, Jim
Well, I
Ziegler.
think I think the big advantage to today's ruling is that we've had this before where the multimillionaire who has never really been involved, I can name names in the state of Alabama, but some of them are my friends, so I won't talk. But all of a sudden, out of nowhere comes the multimillionaire, and they're popping up on TV over and over again. They had that New Jersey, oh, I'm drawing a blank as to his name, a Democrat, like a Wall Street guy. And, he basically bought a Senate seat because he can throw $50 million of his own money. And the
Well,
other
a
party,
part of this though, Brand, is interesting is that your prices go down when you're buying advertising on television with this new platform, because now your prices go down. You get bulk rate pricing on your commercials if the party's buying them. If I'm only
I'm
buying
saying,
50 and the parties can come in and buy 150, they're going to get a different fee schedule. and that's how that goes. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
I just firmly believe that voter turnout is
They
driving the
basically pick the
economics.
candidates.
Go ahead, Chris.
So let me understand. So this ruling is letting the parties basically take money and basically pick the candidate they want. Is that
Not in the primary. This is they can back their candidates in the general.
okay?
In the general,
Okay, all right.
I mean,
Okay, now I
Alabama
understand.
is different because we're a one-party state effectively.
correct.
But this matters a lot nationally, where the Republican Party nationwide can raise money, and if they need to go and help Paxton in Texas, they can take donors with money in Alabama, and they could
Okay,
spend that money to help out Paxton win that Senate seat against Tarico in Texas, where that money matters, instead of spending it here to Tommy Tuberville, who's going to clobber Doug Jones.
Yeah,
okay,
and frankly, though, I'll take the other position, other side. You know, as a congressional candidate, you know, you look at campaign finance because you're trying to find out. You've got this combination of campaign finance, and then you have low voter turnout, and then that creates a baby called Jim Ziegler. And frankly, this today is going to change politics forever because I'm not so certain that it just helps Republicans. I think in a one
No,
party
it
state,
equally helps Democrats.
yeah, it helps Democrats, especially in a state like Alabama,
Yeah.
because the Democrat candidates can't raise money, right?
Yeah, I
But
mean,
the party can
nobody
get
that's
money from a
moneyed,
billionaire, and
none of the
then they can shape
associations
it.
in Montgomery is going to donate to a statewide Democrat candidate because they're going to get their business is going to get punished by the Republicans in power. Now, some
You go back
cat
to
in California or a million, 100,000 donors in California, they don't care what the associations in Montgomery think, and they don't have to worry about the other politicians and office holders in Alabama. If they want to throw money in behind Philip Ensler for lieutenant governor in Alabama, they can. The party just moves the money there.
I think this is one of the biggest stories that's going to be looked over because it's going to change the general election. And now, as you just said, with some of the stuff that I've seen, Doug Jones is not putting any more money into his election probably until it gets closer to campaign season. And the less likely that he's going to win with lawfare, the more likely it's going to be a blowout. And I don't think it's going to be a
The
blowout.
one to
I don't think he's going.
watch.
There's nothing for a Democrat to run to the polls for. The Joe
The,
Reed machine, the ADC, is not pro Doug Jones. They're just
yeah.
not. They're not. And so
no, they're not.
uh, ultimately, Doug, whether it's Huntsville, Madison County, you know, the Hoover area, Tuscaloosa County, uh, you know, the center left, but you know, there's a big run right now that the Republican Party did when they want to go after closed primaries. When they go after closed primaries, I'm someone who's simply saying, and I said it last time we talked, who's going to pay for it? But bigger than this, there are now in the last 7 days, I've talked to 10 Democrats and five of them said I'm an independent. They don't want to be communist socialists. They don't like being identified as Democrat socialists. And they see the writing on the wall. Will they become Republicans? Maybe not this cycle. But if they have a candidate who at least gives them attention, and I see it all the time. People say to me, I don't, you know, well, Chris, I said, look, I look at Congressional District 2 and you look at Montgomery County, and I looked at the numbers and I saw the Cook poll come out last week and it said that this thing is inching toward closer a toss up, right?
That was the point I wanted to make. I don't think this helps Doug Jones diddly. The state is stacked against a Democrat winning statewide. The big beneficiary could be Shamari Figures because it's hard for Shamari to raise money in this state outside of the regular Democrat, regular character people. Shamari has a nice family. He's well spoken.
Mhm.
Um, if we get a weaker, I don't, I know you're a candidate in that. I mean, if we get a Republican that's just sort of lukewarm out of the August 11th primary, who doesn't have a whole lot of major support, I could see how you could take Shamari to DC, to San Francisco, to New York City, and hey, help Shamari keep his seat in Alabama. All it
Well,
takes is $10 million.
well,
I mean, they'd be laughing at
let
you
me
in
speak
Montgomery
on
with
that,
that.
because I think that you're a brilliant man. Let me just speak on that, because no one listens to me, and I tell Chris all the time. I have more stroke talking with you guys. We've got a new state party chairman, and John was chairman. I work very closely with John Wall. I was his outreach guy, and so John listened to me. Stadthagen, he listens to me. But I don't know who told them that was a Republican district, but it's a lie. And even I'm in a district, I'm telling Rhett Marcus, I'm telling the, you can't win it, you can't win it, you can't win it. This is not my ego. But none of you guys can win this district. It's impossible. I'm not so certain that there may be Republicans who say let them have it. I'm not so certain that there are some high level back slapping Republicans who may be saying it's not worth the fight. I see some writings on the wall that make me go, oh, what's going on here? Because the numbers have been not manipulated. The Republicans are so caught up. We need the 6'2" guy who's blonde with blue eyes who came out of the state legislature. That didn't help. That didn't help the Secretary of State when he ran for lieutenant governor.
Well, Wes wishes he was 6'2".
The reality is, that's pretty funny. The reality is, Shamari's a good guy. I mean, Shamari's parents and my dad grew up in the same neighborhood in Mobile, right? Shamari came along as being, the princess of a father who fought the Ku Klux Klan and won. When the young man who was hung right across the street from my grandfather's in that area barbershop, Shamari's dad came, he fought the Klan, and he won. Well, the problem that he has is that he won his last election with cryptocurrency, and no one knows where that money came from. Not going to be able to do that this time. Not going to be able to do that this time, because everyone's got their eyes on what's going on with crypto now. But when it comes down to the new law that just came out that we've been talking about, my Republican Party doesn't understand that you don't need to back candidates who you think can win primary, get Trump support. If you get a Trump support and endorsement, you just lost 7 or 8 points in District 2. Because you're motivating your opponent to go to the polls. You're motivating as soon as you come out hard right. Because you got to remember what's going on. The people of District 2, which is my ancestral home. I mean, my grandfather's from that area. My great-grandfather, I've had, Lucy, Dr. J. Marion Sims, who was an ancestor of mine who was butchered. He got a statue on the stairs, and she went on to be the women's health advocate, but she was an enslaved woman. You've got the Tuskegee experiments. Those are a part of my family. You can look across the state, and that area is critical. You got Stevie Wonder. You got Michael Jackson, the Jackson family, all from Congressional District 2. You've got Tuskegee Airmen. You've got Rosa Parks. You got the little boy from Troy. And you start saying those names, and then you have to look at, why was it an opportunity district? Why is the VRA watching that district so hard? And the reason why is because culturally, it's a deep ancestral cultural district for the United States of America, like Brand just said. You can go and you can get money nationwide to say, I represent the district that Rosa Parks is from.
Let me ask you this. I mean, in the primary, we've seen that the Republican turnout from 4 years ago was down almost 200,000 votes. The Democrat primary was the biggest since Obama. Are you not concerned that with a motivated Democratic base and Republicans sitting out, that if we don't watch out, we could be in trouble?
Whoa. Let me make this very, very clear because I haven't been clear. We're in deep trouble now. And it just got worse today that the Democrat Party, who hasn't had a strong party infrastructure, Joe Reed and ADC have always kept their thing. The Alabama Democratic Conference has been primarily an offshoot of the Lowndes County Freedom Organization of the Black Panther Party, but this is the black wing of the party. They've been fragmented, but now they can go get national money into their party operation. Woo, that's big. Because for Shamari, he doesn't need ones and $2. He needs to be the Jim Ziegler. I'd rather be Jim Ziegler now. No, I don't want to take money away from your health care. I don't want to take money away from your price of gas. I don't want to take money from your utility bill. I don't want to come begging you for that. The party's going to take care of this election. That's a whole different narrative when the DCCC says we're going to target, and DCCC has already come out and said that they're going to go after District 2. And I'm saying to the Republican Party, I already know right now that a motivated Democrat Party, I just saw it in the primary. 33,000 Democrats came out in Montgomery County for the primary, only 12,000 Republicans. That's almost 3-1.
Yeah.
So everyone wants to be able to get PAC money, donor money. They want to be able to do this and do that. If you don't have, I'm just going to keep it a buck. If you don't have a guy like me, if you don't have me, you're going to lose. I'm just telling you straight. The reason why is different than I've seen ever before. Because the motivation to win is the redistricting.
Yeah.
That's why they went to the polls May 19th. Because remember, the Supreme Court just came out a couple weeks before and says you'll be able to do redistricting. The next election, they came out like they were bumblebees, hornets. Alabama State, go Hornets. And now in a energized November election, you have to give people a reason to come out, and revenge is best served with a vote. So the people who watch this, I want you to understand very clearly, Scott Stadhagen, all of you 67 committee members, all of you candidates, you're not running against each other. You can win in August, and you can win. You may have just won your primary, not really worried, but a congressional race that's tight, you're running against numbers, and you're running against passion of people. And the passion of people are looking at $5 gas. They can't pay for their health care. These passionate people are looking at New York going, hey, man, this Democrat socialist thing, that sounds pretty good. I'm not a communist, but dang, I like that. That's what the Democrats are doing right now. But what they're going to do in District 2 is they're going to run to the polls. And they're telling you that it's almost, when Cook Political Report says it's almost a toss-up, that means, and they're very, very conservative, Brand. Everyone knows they're the most conservative. It's already a Democracy. And I'm going to tell you why. We're working off of 2020 census numbers. When they said, yay, 2023 map, I'm sitting there thinking about, what are you talking about? That was 6 years ago. If you go over to Pike Road has 10,000 more houses, 25 more apartment complexes. People have died. There's been mass people to move over to Lee County, closer to Auburn. Now that's out of District 2. The whole Montgomery is now in District 2. I can't say it loud enough. Either someone just wants Shamari to win who are Republicans, and you're setting up whoever your standard I love Trump candidate, far right candidate, Brand, they're going to get slaughtered.
I do think that, where Republicans have been high-fiving and, oh, goody, we're going to the 2023 map and yada, yada, yada. Guys, the 2023 map that Senator Steve Livingston drew up was an attempt to produce a compromise that the courts would accept, which ultimately they rejected. but it's not the 2022 map
No,
that
correct.
Barry Moore got elected on. I mean,
That is correct.
Barry
That is 100% correct.
Barry
Let
had
me
a
ask you this.
23% black minority to deal with. This is not the 48% that the court gave a
But
Shamari.
it's 43. Let me tell you
It's
something else. It's 43.
Let,
28%. It's
let me
over 28% based off of, as you mentioned, the 2020 census. But on the 2020 census, using those numbers, this is like a 28.5% black voter district. There's a huge difference in politics between 28.5 and 23.
It's more, it's
well,
not
let me
28. It's about
I mean, we
42.
can guess what it is now, but
Yes.
based on
well,
what it was, based on that census, the districts are drawn based off that census. It increased it from 23 to 28 and a half. Um, if 90% or 95% of the black voters go Democrat,
It's
you're
over.
sitting there with 25%. You're halfway for Shamari winning right there.
It's
okay.
over.
Let me ask you this
So
right
you
here.
only need
In
one
20,
third of the white people
in and that's what I
for
was fixing to touch on.
Shamari to win re-election.
In 2024, I was talking to Bill Baxley about the 7th congressional district, and he said there's going to be plenty of white people that like Terry. And when I looked at the numbers, Robin Lydecker underperformed Donald Trump in the polls. I mean, people voted for Trump and then turned around and voted for Terry. Are you concerned that there will be some white people that'll be like, you know what, I'm voting for Coach, but I like Shamari, and split their ticket?
So I'm not concerned about that because if it's the right candidate, and my ego's totally out of it, I'm looking at it for what it is. They still going to go in and vote straight party ticket. Over 85% will vote straight party ticket. The problem is what Brand said. You don't want 95% of the black voter to run to the polls and vote for Shamari. That's number one. So my role, and you have a lot of independent military veterans who are black in that area because of the 3 military bases, Maxwell, Rucker down south, and Fort Benning now in Russell County, which is right in Georgia, but the people live in Russell County. You got to be careful from a real standpoint of now that the money is going to be even, it's the message. It's the message that I'm far right. We got to get the Trump agenda. That's gone. We just had a whole day of rulings by the Supreme Court on transgender issues, campaign finance, anchor baby issues. All those issues are now off the table. And the only issue they care about is they screwed us by redistricting, and we're going to get AOC and everybody, Stevie Wonder playing music. They're going to get everybody and their mama to come to the poll. If you're going to screw us, and this is not, this is supposed to be drawn for the Republicans. This thing is not drawn for the Republicans.
No, it was drawn as a compromise. That's what all of my Republican friends are forgetting. This is a compromise we as a
Opportunity
legislature
district
offered to courts, and they rejected.
So if you do a profile of the perfect candidate to run against Shamari, frankly, the ticket splitters, they have no reason to vote for you if you don't talk to them. And if you win your primary, let me give you an example. Red Marcus is he's a candidate. Good guy, nice guy, I like Red. But Red was a part of the gas tax. And one of the candidates spoke last night. He was talking about that. I'm like, wow, I forgot about that. The index gas price tax has gone up since 2019, is now up to 30 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
And
it
it's
goes up 1 cent every other year indefinitely.
In perpetuity.
In perpetuity. Think about this from a media standpoint, Brand, what do you think when gas is almost $4 is coming down, but utility bills, people hadn't forgotten it's still hurting? Food, utility bills, gas, and they find, and the DCCC is going to come in and they're going to show that clip over and over and over and over and over and over and over again that this guy's responsible for your gas being high. They won't even deal with Trump. They're going to point to him, and that's the problem. When you're a legislature, you have on record, and they've got video of that, you can't win, and you can't peel away votes. So the excitement level, me personally, Montgomery's a weird county, man. And I don't think that I think people don't understand Montgomery, Macon. I understand how the poverty lives in Lowndes County. They still got sewage in their yard. They don't have fresh water. Little things like that you can't ignore. But when it comes down to the raw data and the type of candidate profile, man, they should be calling me every day. And some people, I am getting some very, very high level calls in the last 7 days. And that's because they're looking at the numbers and they say, wow, you got 22,000 votes already baked in from the SOS race, already baked in. You already have 100,000 statewide, and so you've been through this before, Congressional District 7. There's no vote record of all the other candidates besides losing to Jerry Carl. I've got more votes from the SOS race in District 2 than all of these guys combined, all of them that just ran May 19th. And when they ran May 19th, they got to see their numbers. Even though they voided the election, they got to say, they saw the numbers. They're like, oh, crap. We're going to run over here to District 2. And I found out in Houston County that people like Christian Horn. It's a different race than a statewide race. This is like a city council race. This is like a county commissioner race because you only need 8,000 to 10,000 votes to win. You got 6 people in the race. They're going to split their vote. 4 of those guys are from Houston County.
Yeah, they're from the Wiregrass.
They're from the Wiregrass. But baby,
I mean, it's 4 guys from the Wiregrass. It's Chris Horn, who's more of a North Alabama guy. And then it's Hampton Harris, whom we've had on, who's from like Lowndes County and been in Montgomery County. But Montgomery doesn't have a candidate. They're the population center.
Let me make this very clear.
But I mean, we didn't get a Clyde Chambliss or a Will Barfoot or a Reed Ingram.
Those days are over.
That Montgomery might have rallied behind. Montgomery has no idea who the 6 guys are.
Well, I'm the only one who
out by
know.
August 11th.
Well, here's what you got to understand about that. And this is different because I realize that, I've run statewide elections, but I've campaigned locally. And you have to understand how this works because I want my white brothers and sisters to understand how Black people, ticket splitters, and far right, how they work. The only reason statewide elections are different than congressional districts is you have to know the anthropology. You have to be a part of it. My father, for instance, was the vice president for Alabama State for a very long time. So I have been deeply rooted. My father was killed on his way to work to his office to Alabama State. So my grandfather and my father's side, I've got my family's in Lowndes, my family's in Macon, Montgomery. My family's there. I'm there. I'm all there. I've been there for years. Those are where the family picnics are. Those are the.
My point was there is no household, like Dick Brubaker ran 2 years ago. I mean, there's like 20,000 people in Montgomery bought calories from him over the years. Montgomery doesn't have an established their guy in this, and yet the way we increased their flow in this when we added their suburbs in Autauga and Elmore County.
Well, you just answered your question.
The deal.
Montgomery established is no more.
Yeah, but I'm saying they don't have candidates.
Because of what they did with the maps over the last 3 cycles, what we've known, you got white flight to Prattville.
Yeah, but Prattville is back in the district, was my point.
No, it's not.
Well, part of it is.
None of it. I thought so.
Well,
That map that we're operating on is contiguous to Montgomery County, and all of Autauga is now out of it.
let me ask you this:
But
if you looked
Elmore
at
is
how
in.
But Chris, let me finish on this
Elmore.
point, because this is important. The map itself is dictating the anthropology of the last 10 years, where people have left Montgomery and they've moved to Prattville. Well, what they just did was take Prattville and Autauga out of the district. They moved to Lee County, which used to be in. Lee County is out of the district. Half of Autauga, where the new suburbs are, out of the district. Montgomery County is Pike Road. Montgomery County, where my family is, those areas are flight areas. And the reason why it's important to understand is that means that your conservative, your independents are gone from the traditional Montgomery County. And now it's 7% Hispanic. It's 7% mixed race. It's 66% Black. If you put those numbers together, whether they're Republican, Democrat, just on race, it's 76% non-white. It's closer to Birmingham. And people aren't looking, they're not looking at the numbers. They're looking at the emotion. And they're looking at how things used to be. It's most of the people in Montgomery, most of those people aren't from Montgomery.
So, Chris, talk about the numbers. How did you perform in that district in this past May 19th primary?
That district didn't vote for the most part. I got 22,000 total votes in that area. She got about 42 or whatever it may be. But those are on the scoreboard. Those votes are on the scoreboard. Those are real votes. And another thing that happened, I can't really call it because, like, Congressional District 7 was into Montgomery when in 2024, Congressional District 7, half of it was in Montgomery. And so now all of it is in Montgomery. All of Montgomery is now in the district on the Livingston 3 map. And there's certain pockets of areas around the state. And guys, you guys know Alabama, but we got the three of us and everyone else have to come to a very uncomfortable understanding. Tuscaloosa is not made of people from Tuscaloosa anymore. It's gone. If it were so, West Allen would have won. North Alabama, you walk around anywhere from Florence all the way to Scottsboro, Madison County, Limestone. John Wall will tell you, because we've gone through this over and over. It's hard to find people who were born in North Alabama. And so Montgomery has been getting that squeeze of Atlanta, of all of their natives going to Atlanta when they graduate. And so the people there at the Air Force bases, at the Army, now you're looking at a situation where you need 10,000 votes to win in a runoff election, 10,000, because you don't need a majority election. And that was something that was weird for me. I did not understand, how is it that there was no runoff for this race and they made it a pluralistic voter gets all, but in Dale Strong's race, they had a runoff if they wanted to choose to do so. So ultimately, I go see myself, and I have a place there, my cousins, everyone else. Alabama is regionalized based on the military. You've got Southeast Wiregrass. I went down, when I was there yesterday in Wiregrass, I said, well, how many people are from here? Only 30% of the room were from there. This is Houston County, and that's the second largest vote turnout for that district is Houston County. Then you go to Montgomery, has moved to Prattville. So my deepest concern, my deep, dark concern, I don't think people know how to read the room. Culture doesn't have Shamari Figurs lived in Virginia. Shamar's never lived in Alabama since 2014, and he lived in Mobile
Not since
then.
he left college. He finished
He
law
hasn't
school
even
and
lived in
was out of here.
Alabama.
Yeah, out of the state. Well, he's never lived in the second congressional district as it's currently drawn because he's from Mobile, which is now back in the first. But
So what? And that tells you the answers of what's going on. And it's going to get worse when the parties get a hold of it with money. They're going to start picking the candidates that they want, and we're now going to jump the cliff, Chris. It's going to be a situation that if you don't understand everybody, military, poor people, older people, young people, Hispanics, Black folks, you're in trouble. If you can have no cultural connection to people who know how to be poor, veterans, disabled veterans, and you look down on those people, you're in trouble. And I think the Republican Party is in deep trouble because they keep on running the same playbook over and again. We lost 4 Black Republicans this year. We'll have 0 if we don't get one elected now in the United States of America in the House of Representatives. All 4 of them will be gone.
Really, I didn't realize that.
All 4. And if you look up, it's come up because Donald Trump is very deeply concerned that everything that he helped build is going to be gone. You got Byron Donalds, who's going to be probably the next governor of Florida. You got Wesley Hunt, who just lost a senator race in Texas. You got Burgess over in Utah, who got redistricted, so he's retiring. Then you've got John James in Michigan, who's running for governor. That was it. That was his Fab Four. And they're all gone. So now we have to decide if we're going to go young, okay, that's fine. But Montgomery County looks like Mobile County, looks like Jefferson County, looks like a little bit of Huntsville. The Democrats, if they had the strategy that you guys know, they would be causing the Republicans a lot of problems right now. But now that they're going to be able to get money, I think it's going to help them a whole lot to be competitive in Alabama.
Chris, we can talk about the general election, but how are you going to win the August 11th Republican primary when Donald Trump has endorsed Rhett Marquez? And that played a huge role on the Republican runoff deal where we had low turnout. You had the MAGA guys, they showed up and they voted for John Wall and they voted for Barry Moore because they had the Trump endorsement. How do you counter that you don't have the Trump endorsement?
I think that's the best thing that could have ever happened. The way the ballot was constructed, we've got 6 people in that race. It's a pluralistic opportunity.
Yeah, you don't need 50% the way this is done. You just need to get more money, more votes than the other 5. 35% could win this.
But let me ask this right
The
here.
worst
If
case
And you
scenario.
just
Majority-
answered. You just answered the question. 35% can win, Chris.
But if
I'm
we
not from the
had-
wiregrass. That's
But let me
going
ask
to be
you
the
straight-
area that he's going to need to win big. The numbers are going to tell the story.
But if we had such a low turnout on the 19th, this is going to be what, the second week after school starts back. I mean, isn't this going to be even more of party insiders picking the candidate in this race?
I think it's going to be less than the party insiders. And even if you do have the party insiders, what's different than a statewide race. And I've told Scott, I've told a lot of things, you guys are missing something. I just got 22,000 votes in May. You need
In that district?
8,500 to win. How many did Rhett get in Baldwin County? How many did those? They didn't get, you can take all their votes combined. And I got more. And I want my people to come back to the polls. So this race is not about fundraising. It's not about Trump. If you want to be about Trump, go ahead. If Trump doesn't even know who he is. That's insiders playing their game. And I'm talking to you insiders right now. because I've had a chance to talk to the other candidates. I know what you did when it came down to HB1, and you're going to hear a response from me or an attorney. I don't know how this is going to go. But when I signed up for the race, I don't even know if I'm 100% declared yet because of how they did the flip-flopping. They called me 5 hours before the deadline and asked me to make another declaration. You had people trying to drop out of the race, like District 7. The young lady wanted to drop out. They said that all of our names had to stay on the ballot. So there's some issues that are there, because when you have the majority leader of the House as your party chairman, he's the head coach, and you've got Rhett Marcus, who's his quarterback in the House, who's making, crafting, and voting on the bill. Both of them are making, crafting. It's inside baseball. It is what it is, man. This is politics. But we as a party need to have a rule that you can't come out of the House in the middle of a session that you're still crafting policy on. And then you have a member of your caucus, not just your caucus, in the legislature to run for office, that you're creating the rules. That's how you win. But to your question, if you want to set the rules, set the rules. But what's starting to happen is if people don't show up at the polls, yeah, they're going to try to do the whole, party. But you've got 6 guys in the race. You've got 4 of them from Wiregrass. So how do you convince all those people in Wiregrass to vote for one person? How do you do that? So I've got a plan in place. I'm not going to tell you on this thing. I'm not going to tell you my strategy. I'm not doing that, but I will tell you, if I don't win, we're going to lose in November. And if the party does not respect me and they think they're going to push me around and use my facial whatever, then they could put me in a very, very different mental space after this election, because I've seen a whole lot. I don't know how Rhett Marcus and the rest of those guys, Jerry Carl, how did they get to see that May 19th score where the vote was voided, the election was voided a week before, and they still posted the score, the votes? Because what you did then was you gave them an opportunity to see how they performed, right? No one else got that opportunity. And Jerry Carl won with 46%. Rhett had 38%. And then Rhett goes, oh, I'm not going to run over there. I'm going to run over here. He ran in District 1 starting in August with an endorsement from Katie Britt. He still lost. Even it's not even about me. Even if some other candidate, Rhett has that, he's never won anything in that district besides going to the state house. None of the other candidates have won a vote. And for this election to allow these guys to go from District 1, and then on January the 5th, we had 4 candidates. And 3 hours later, we had 6 candidates. And when those questions start getting answered, I think there's going to be a shockwave across the state of Alabama on how we crafted the rosters, how it was done, what was done hastily, that was sloppy. Did it violate the VRA? And if you did it the wrong way, on August 12th, the Democrats are sitting there waiting with UW Clemens, and they're going to go down to the courthouse that they don't have to file new anything because we still are under the 3-judge panel. And on August the 12th, they're going to walk in there and say, hey, here's the 10 things that you did wrong. We want to invalidate that candidate from the Republican Party. And if they wait till January 12th to do that, the Republican Party can't replace the candidate at all. So I hope that and pray that the Republican Party has listened to what I just said to you. I anticipate on August 12th that the Democrats are going to try to invalidate whoever wins on August 11th. And people are discounting Doug Jones. They're discounting how they like to play this dirty game. But on August 12th, when you can't replace your candidate because you didn't do things the right way, then Shamari will be there without even having to have a November election. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Chris, in the May election, I mean, you had pretty good statewide name recognition for somebody that hasn't actually run statewide before.
Well, you were Secretary of State last time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So,
well, I mean, yeah, okay. I'm sorry, I apologize about that one. But I mean, your name recognition was pretty good under the circumstances. But Caroline Dobson just threw money out the yin yang into that race, and I don't want to say that was why Caroline won by as many points as she did, but it played a factor. What's going to be different about this race? Can you raise money for this race to compete with Rhett Marquez and some of these that have all the associations lined up behind them?
so let's go back and let's do the autopsy of what happened on May 19th. It wasn't money that won that race. She didn't have a whole lot of commercials that she had out. She ended up with more votes than almost all the other candidates.
I mean, she was the most popular candidate on that
It
ballot.
wasn't exactly. It wasn't because of that race. It was because she was the sacrificial lamb who had to go against Shamari 2 years ago, and because she also said, "I'm not going to run and do that again." That was prepackaged before the race even began by those in the background. Great candidate. I'm the one who actually brought her into North Alabama and other places. I like Caroline. But that is the ultimate sign of when the horses get behind 2 years ago. And she lost to him, right?
Yeah.
Right?
About almost 10 points, I think.
Do you ever wonder why she's not running again? If we reshuffled the district, why didn't she run again? If we moved the district, that would be in her favor. And I asked her before the race. And when this thing gets moved, are you going to go back and run for your seat? Because we would really need you there. She said, no, I'm not going to run for that seat. Oh, you don't want a free walk into DC? Interesting. That's because she has enough money and the people who's dealing with, they know what the numbers are. How do you win? I've already won the 22,000 votes when you only need 10. You don't have a year to run for this seat. People are not even thinking about August 11th until after July the 4th. And you got 3 weeks or 4 weeks to make it happen. Where are you going to spend your money on? TV? You're talking about in August, you're talking about a race that's going to be 4 weeks. We didn't even get our names on the ballot till last week. I've still never received my qualifying certification. I still haven't got it. We just had rulings today. We're going into a long weekend, and simply, I think I'm the best candidate to win for the party this time. And if they don't want, this is not an opportunity for you to win. This is a city council knockdown, drag out for 3 weeks. And it's the best opportunity to win. I don't think that he has any, I don't think you have time to build up his name ID. He's got to build his name ID in Montgomery County. I ran in 2022. I got over 54,000 votes. I ran in 2024 in the district. Won the primary. My good friend Robin came after me. I ran in 2026. 100,000. No black person in the history of the state has had 100,000 votes.
As a Republican.
I'm from the area is my family. And ultimately, I'm on the trajectory and I know I'm going to win. This time, your money can't help you. This time, your location can't help you. Being from the Wiregrass, he's never run in Montgomery County. Why would Donald Trump go after the guy? Because you know what? He's tall, blonde, and blue eyes, right? There are a lot of people who don't like Donald Trump in Montgomery County. There are a lot of Republicans. That is one of the most pragmatic communities in the Republican Party in the state of Alabama. Am I right or wrong, Brad? I mean, look who's represented from Martha Roby. Was Martha Roby a hard right Trump MAGA girl? No. So the people there are different. And if I didn't run for Secretary of State, I would not be set up to run right now. So I've not been running to win. I want this seat. And running for Secretary of State set me up. I did the campaigning for the Secretary of State. Now the field gets narrower. I don't have to go after people who already voted for me 3 weeks ago. I actually am the point they're chasing, and they know that. I don't have to tell them that. I'm not cocky. They already know that. They're going to work hard. And then you're going to run commercials against me or the other 5 guys? How do you do your commercials? If I put my commercials out there, I'm just going straight. I'm not going to say negative. I don't have to say anything negative. God has blessed me so much tremendously. I don't have to attack people, go negative. For what? If you want your gas, a guy who increased your gas prices in the middle of, the worst time and COVID, he increased them during COVID and now. If that's what they want, then go ahead and vote for him. He won't win in November. And the big horses behind the scenes, the BCA, Katie, all these people are starting to figure out what you said. The numbers aren't the truth. So if your goal is to lose to Shamari, pick him. And I'll just be fine with that. But if you decide to go that route, then hey, my name is Christian Horn. I want your vote. It's America 250. All the ability for my Republican friends to come out and vote for me. But guess what? I will promise you this, Red Marcus. I will promise you the guys who you're running against, who I've talked with, they'd rather have me than you. All the other candidates, not all of them, I don't know one of them, but they'd rather have me than you. Because I've been in the rooms with those guys. And the people of Montgomery County and the other counties, they don't like Trump, including the hard right Republicans, because we've done the polls. I like our president. He's he's done what MAGA has come to do, but he's a lame duck. Our president is a lame duck at this phase of the game, and he's just trying to get what he can get. So I think that if they're going to run Trump against me, then what do football players do? I love where we are as a country right now. I do. But I do respect the fact that voters want competition with good candidates, right? If you want to go the traditional route, you're getting set up for the slaughter. And until you two guys tell me I'm wrong, but if you had to vote, look at this vote between Shamari Figures and a gas taxing, ruby red, Trump supported candidate. People want to win. They don't want to choose candidates. The message is, can he beat Shamari? Can he take votes away from Shamari? And that's a no. So you're throwing away your vote if you don't choose me. It's simple. And the message of what makes you better is you've run in the district twice. I've run in the district twice. Don't be disrespectful to me now. I did it in 2022. I did it in 2024 with Robin Liger. Robin ran and she had half of Montgomery. She did a good job. Robin did a pretty doggone good job. And that's because she knew the messaging of that area, just like I did. And you only need 10,000 votes. We'll see what happens. Enough said. But I feel good. I feel good. I feel good because keep on running that same playbook. And if Trump wants to go and he has rep, that's fine, Trump. That means you're running against me now, sir. That means you just told America that, and I know a lot of people in the Trump orbit. Matter of fact, I know someone who's very, very close to me who is at Mar-a-Lago all the time, and she's always there. And I know people in that orbit. But if you choose to endorse the gentleman I'm running against, then I'm running against you. And I like my chances.
Well, Chris, we've had you on for like about an hour and 15 minutes. I could keep going, but Chris, is there something that you'd like to ask before we go?
No.
Listen, guys, I would love to have a victory in November. I would love to make that kind of history. People go, well, what's going to be different? What's going to be the change? I would love for you to think that I'm an opportunity for people who feel marginalized, who feel like the redistricting hurt them. The point is, you do have someone to vote for. And I understand the culture. I understand the traditions. I understand all of the media. I understand that this is a vote that they think they've got. And the other candidates feel the same way. And I don't have anything against it. But what I do know more than anything is I know the heart of the people of District 2, because that's my family. And I do know more than anything, I know math. I know math very, very well. And you all do the math and we'll see you. The third thing is on August 12th, I just hope that we don't get our winner vacated because of the way that we handled the administration of this special election. I just know that we wanted to do it the right way. We want to go to the polls, but there have been some very, very serious things that will be breaking in the news soon that we may have to go back and look at. And I'll leave it at that. I want you all to come to the polls. It's the 250th anniversary. I don't care what party, I don't care where you live, I don't care if you're rich or poor. Take someone to go and vote. Because it doesn't matter if only 6%, and that's the expectation, is 5 to 6%, Chris. That's it. 5 to 6% are going to determine. And if we're not careful, we don't need to piss people off because this is an open election. This is a special election that anybody can walk into and vote and go home. And I appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks so much for joining us
today.
What's that?
Thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you all.